It has been more than 2 years since Darktide came out. Also, in the meantime, Space Marine 2 came out, which is kinda direct competition to Darktide, which had a great success. Of course, I played it as well and I enjoyed it quite a lot. So much so that I picked up Darktide again, and I have more hours on it. Yes, because previously I played it on Xbox Game Pass. A lot has changed. I will go through the major changes that had the biggest impact on me and rate overall how I feel about it.
No puedo.
Kurva. Poďte vás, skúsim. Ja dostávam úplne na prdo od toho chargera. The biggest change from 2022 to now is the endgame weapon system. You still have the base vendor, which you will use from leveling to 1 to 30 pretty much always, which replenishes stocks every hour. And you also have the Requisitorium, where you can spend your weekly mission token on some high level gear. Now you can notice the first difference. The max level is 500 and it's not that hard to get. The best part is right now the RNG is basically just what kind of distribution of stats you will get. And when you will look for it, it's not that hard to get it. For example, this spearhead bolt gun is the perfect amount of stats where you want them. Everything 80, just... Oh no, it's not that good. No, I wanted 16 mobility. Damn. I'm pretty much blind, but you still get my point. So at the end, you will find a great distribution of points, you will acquire your weapon, and now this is the biggest change. If you level up your weapon and played with it quite a lot, you can go to the blessing menu and pretty much level up your blessings. Put the points to the strong one, get them all to the max level, buy the weapon you liked, and re-bless it any way you want. You want this one? Rebless, you have it. No more RNG. You can also empower it to the max level, and you can also refine it to get any perk you want. You know what you're getting. So one small thing you will lose on this is you don't get really god rolls, because you can achieve the god roll by yourself and there's no more RNG on it, basically. Besides the stat distribution. But even if you lose this dopamine, you receive such a nice system, which saves you from so much frustration. And you have a goal, and you know you can reach it. And that's the biggest change.
Sądzę między nimi. Kam idziesz?
Wszystkich zabić? What the fuck is this?
Zobacz. Let me be!
Now let's slow down a bit and look back at Space Marine 2. These games are pretty similar, a horde shooter. Space Marine 2 launched with a great success. 186,000 people playing at the same time. Pretty good. Compared to the Darktide peak, around 107,000. Big difference in my opinion was that Space Marine 2 was much more complete experience. You had a great campaign, and also for those who like more of a grindy things, you had operations. Compared with Darktide, which came in much rougher state. And also people weren't very happy when it first came out, because there are many mechanics missing from the game, like the weapon system already mentioned, and it didn't help that seemingly the most polished thing was the currency shop with the skins. But now when we look at Space Marine 2 has 10,000 active players, Darktide isn't far behind. Let's say it's on the same level, but now the game is in much better state and much deeper endgame content compared to the operation from Space Marine. As the game doesn't have a campaign, the whole focus is on the gameplay and the grindy part of the game. With Space Marine, it also needs, in my opinion, 1 year increase the content of operations. And before we jump into another great thing that has changed, I want to stop at one particular difference between Space Marine and Darktide. It's the bolt gun. I mean, the bolt gun in Darktide just feels so good. The punch, the absolute wreckage it causes is just unrivaled. That's one thing that was missing for me from the Space Marine 2, where you are playing the Space Marine and the most iconic gun, the bolt gun, doesn't feel as powerful. The scale is bigger, you are much bigger, so it explains it a bit, but the overall feeling is much better in Darktide. So that's one thing I'm a bit upset that Space Marine could have done a bit better. Now let's move to the second biggest thing that has changed. These are the skill trees. If you look into the Darktide from 2022, look into build videos. It's crazy how far the skill system went. The skill tree was super simple, not that impactful. And for a horde shooting leveling game, like compare it to the Path of Exile. This is an extreme example. But this It's pretty pathetic. Now let me show you the new one. This is my veteran class, and now it's much bigger. And the choices you make the game different. That is amazing. Each class has different skills as well. Of course, you have the smaller nodes which give you basic stats, but when you go to the bigger ones, these really affect the gameplay. For veteran class, you have multiple choices of grenades. I pretty much love the crack grenade. Most people like the shredder grenade. The crack grenade was especially useful during one event where there was a lot of bosses, and the crack grenade with the grenade tinker and the demolition stockpile is such a great combo for the big target. I just melted them. Each class has now 3 distinctly different abilities. When the game started, maybe I will show you the gameplay. Yeah, just the executioner stance. I no longer use this ability. I use something more stronger, voice of command. This makes the veteran shout, throw away all the enemies while buffing the toughness of your allies and yourself. This ability paired with other skills, it's pretty much on a very short cooldown and makes you very hard to kill. And when you're using it smartly, it's very broken and you are pretty much unkillable. And when you look at YouTube tutorials, you will fastly find out that people, although of course there are some preferences, make different cool builds. This made the game so much more enjoyable and varied. Holy fucking shit!
Aussieht.
The weapon system and the skill system pretty much so much enhanced the feeling of the game. When I started playing Darktide 2 years ago, I only leveled up veteran class. Now when I bought it on Steam, I managed to level up 2 classes. When we fastly look at Zealot, for example, you'll have different grenades, or you will start throwing a knife, which at the beginning seems pretty weak. But when you get used to it and you get to the higher level, you realize that this is one of the most broken skills, as it lets you deal with the range characters, as the Zealot is mainly melee class. Wonderful skill. And for the abilities, you have the Fury of Faithful when you charge around like a berserker, always fighting, replenishing toughness, or so on. Or you can change the build and build a stealthy build when you go shrouded and you have increased crit and so on. Very different playstyles, but this is what makes it exciting, makes you want to explore and play more. And each character has it. And more great things happen, for example, new weapons, new maps, and so on. Darktide also has one particular strength, and that is all of those different modifiers you can get on the mission. As my friend said, this game isn't scared of throwing hundreds of special enemies at you or gassing the whole map out. Pretty unbalanced, you take damage nearly everywhere, but who cares? It's a different gameplay. Even 2 years ago, I made a video about the darkness game mode or lights out, which obviously makes the game totally dark, and it is such a different experience. I love it. This makes the things quite fresh. What hasn't improved much, however, is the map feel kinda samey, although I think there's a good amount of them right now. Yeah, there are just small distinctions. For example, yeah, they added the snowy map, they have the deserty map, but overall the vibe is quite the same. It's not a big problem, but you still notice it, or better to say, you don't notice it at all, and for me at least, I realized at the end of the game, oh, this was the map I was playing, because they feel oh so similar. Of course, the new maps that added, for example, the snowy map is quite distinguishable, because of the snow, of course, or the newest that recently came out, you are fighting this weird cult thingy-dingy, which at least shows that they still somewhat care. And one more big thing that is missing from this game, which is quite weird, is the quality of life additions. You don't have the scoreboard during the game, which is the weirdest stuff. Like, come on, you don't have the scoreboard inside the games. Other cool stuff like damage counters and so on. For a game that tries to focus on endgame content and farming new weapons, you want to see how you are doing. And without scoreboard and without damage numbers and so on, it is really hard and impossible to judge your build. That's what's insane about it. What you see on the video right now is that you can add those things by modding. For example, now you can see that I have a mod that shows health of the special enemies and the bigger ones. Now I can see how much damage I deal. Press the tab and oh, I see how much damage I dealt, how impactful I was during the game. Therefore, I can actually judge how the build is working. Overall, the game right now is in very good state. Also, the grinding from 1 to 30 is much less noticeable. It's much faster. I think they increased the gain of the experience or reduced the required amounts to gain the max level, or the game is just so much more fun. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Merry Christmas. Well, hopefully you had Merry Christmas, and I will see you next time. Take care.